Hey fans, it's Rich Mancuso, and welcome to my channel, Sports with Rich. We will keep it in the ring every week here, live on YouTube down the line, and I want you to stay tuned for that, for the debut date of Sports with Rich here on my channel, live on YouTube. And the plan is to have some interesting segments, some features, some interviews with some of my colleagues in the media, as well as some former and current ball players, professional athletes, whatever you want to call them, and a lot of pro wrestling. And I'm going to get into that in a moment. I will keep it in the ring. Many of you remember me from Jody McDonald and I doing 3 a.m. wrestling talk years ago on Sports Radio 66 WFAN in New York. Keep it in the ring, pro wrestling. And you know what? I'm going to lead into getting back into the pro wrestling industry with an independent group. Talk about that in a second, plus some other things. So the idea here is, folks, is to get back to you and to eventually do a live show here on YouTube, probably within the next week. And I encourage you to tune in by social networking with me, as always, here on the YouTube channel, but more so on Facebook at Rich Mancuso. Many of you who follow me have that already. Also at Twitter at Ring786. And also you can email me, and you know how to do that as well once you log on to my social media. The best way to get me those on Facebook and Twitter. And, of course, you'll know when the show will originate live. And like I said, this is something I've been wanting to do for a while, and it's finally coming to fruition. My photographer and producer, Warren, who's excellent, by the way, is putting this all together with me, and we hope to have a blast as well as get somewhere with this and see how far as it goes. And, of course, counting on your support. And what you would do, as you know, if you're on YouTube, you always know that you have to hit that like and subscribe. Remember that. And the more subscriptions you get, the better it gets for me, and you'll get more content. The goal here is to keep you informed. You are sports fans as much as I am. With my expertise in boxing and, of course, baseball, it doesn't mean I'm dark on other sports. I follow them all, especially now. We are sports crazed with everything going on at the same time during this global pandemic. So, again, you'll hit the like and subscribe button to the channel, and we're on our way with a live podcast, video live, and also interact. We want to interact with you, which means you might be eventually get to call me live, call live questions, and also interact with any guest I might have. And, of course, leave your comments always as well at the bottom of the broadcast, including this one, to tell you that Rich Mancuso, Sports with Rich, and Keep It in the Ring will be back. So let me jump into a few things before we talk more about the channel. My pro wrestling days are back. Many of you will follow me on social media and notice that I have reunited with the relaunch of the NAWA, Mount Vernon based, with the promoter Tony Capone. I'm very excited about this because it's going to be an old school type of venture promotion. Even during a global pandemic, pro wrestling has never stopped. And the goal for Tony Capone always was to relaunch the NAWA that originated in the 1980s. And one of the first wrestling promotions I got involved with back then was with Tony Capone and the NAWA. And by the way, the NAWA does have a website. I encourage you to log on to that, check out more. And also, the NAWA has various shows from the past where myself and Craig DeGeorge, remember Craig? Old WWF voice of the WWF, and now Craig Marinelli, which is his real name, down in Florida. He's a pre- and post-game host for Fox for Miami Marlins games, and also for, I think, the Tampa Bay Lightning, one of the hockey teams down there in Florida. But Craig and I, you'll see us on the broadcast doing shows with guys that started to come up in the business. Taz, Tommy Dreamer, among the few. How about X-Pac, Sean Waltman, the Mighty Hercules, and many others. And you can catch those on YouTube with me and Craig doing the commentary for Tony Capone's NAWA. And I'll be back behind the mic with the NAWA. Their debut show will take place in New Haven, Connecticut. The first one planned for a relaunch November 14th. Looking forward to that. And of course, there's going to be a lot of promos and things to talk about that you will see on this channel and on the NAWA podcast that will be forthcoming. What's going to be going on with the NAWA? My roots will always be pro wrestling. Pro wrestling was something that I've always enjoyed, as you know. And on the website, the NAWA website, you will also read the section called Keep It in the Ring, where I discuss and I write about certain topics, including the one is about my hero and legend, Bruno Sammartino, and how he got me involved in the business way back in the 80s, along with Captain Lou Albano, two legends in the pro wrestling industry who are Hall of Famers. And also on there is me and Jody Mack. And I'm talking about how I got involved with Pro Wrestling Talk Radio back then with Jody, how it started on WFAN in the early 1980s. That's on there. You can read that on the NAWA website, as well as how I feel about the wrestling industry now, how it was then and how it is now. And the goal of the NAWA, as you will see, is old school. There'll be some new guys coming out of Paul Romer's wrestling school up there in the New Haven, Connecticut area. Or is it East Haven? It's one or the other. I apologize to Paul if I got the town wrong. And Paul Romer will be a big part of it, who was a major part of pro wrestling in my era. At one time, one of the powerful four horsemen with the old WCW, if you remember that. And Paul Romer also had a stint in the WWF. The old, what was called WWF at the time, with the Mighty Hercules, and tag team champion as well. And Paul has a successful pro wrestling school, and he is going to be a director of operations or in some capacity with the NAWA. A lot of his students will be on the shows, and some of the old school guys. And I know the Bushwhackers, Butch, I believe, has been signed to a deal with the NAWA. And again, I will keep you posted on that. I encourage you again to get me on social media, and pro wrestling is back in my life. I'm excited, happy about it, and we'll be keeping in the ring, as I say. And the history of Keep It in the Ring goes back to me and Jody McDonald on WFAN. And you could recall, if you know the story, how I came up with that slogan to end the show with Jody at 3 a.m. in the morning on the fan. And I just needed something to say, and it just came out of my mouth, and it was so apropos to everything. Keep it in the ring. That's how we ended it. So I'm excited about that, and I'm also excited about this, what's going on right now. If you're a sports fan, this is a crazy, crazy time. We've never experienced this before in our lifetime. Of course, it's all because of a global pandemic, and I hope you all are well and safe, and still following the necessary protocols to stay safe. Wear that mask. I always do. Make sure you keep your social distancing. I always do. And wash your hands frequently, as I always do. But most of all, wear that mask, because it will prevent someone else from having this terrible virus that we hope a vaccine is on the way. And we hope that this terrible year ends as soon as it can, and then we can move on and get for bigger and better things in 2021, which was months away, believe it or not. But sports, getting back to that, has been the diversion, and with everything going on at the same time, and I'm talking every major sport going on at the same time, and you're a sports fan, you're in paradise. 12 hours this past Sunday, I'm on the couch watching sports, wall to wall, from early afternoon to late at night. Of course, the topic and the main thing was the NFL. And you can watch any NFL game you wanted to if you have the NFL ticket or on the major networks. And then you have Major League Baseball. Game season is bogus, and it is. Just take a look at the scores. Take a look at how many major pitchers and position players have been hurt and on that injured list. How many games have been canceled? The stupid rules. The extra inning rule of a player, second base in extra innings. Sandlot, Bush League. You don't do that, and I hope next year, if they go back to normal, and we're all back to normal, that Major League Baseball doesn't decide to incorporate that stupid rule. Designated hitter, universal DH, I could see that finally here. I mean, you have a one bogus rule after another and one stupid thing after another, and they're talking about social distancing, and I haven't seen much of that with Major League Baseball players during this 60-game sprint, as it's been called. But I will credit Major League Baseball for one thing, my friends, and that is they've handled this better than expected. Yeah, there have been a lot of games that have been postponed by the COVID, interfered, and a lot of games also canceled because of rainouts, and a lot of games canceled because of the racial injustice, and a lot of games canceled now with smoke, with the issues of fires and smoke that canceled the game in Seattle on Tuesday night. So they've had their problems. They made up games with 7-inning doubleheaders, which I'm catching on to. As old school as I am, I don't believe in 7-inning doubleheaders, but it seems to be working fine for MLB. The players seem to like it. And that's another rule I hope really that they don't use completely, though they're catching on to it, MLB. And what I see here is Major League Baseball on a downfall. The ratings have not been great. And the game is not that great. A lot of inept plays, a lot of errors, pitches not going past 4 innings, bullpens getting wiped out. In fact, you see how many times have we seen in the last couple of weeks down this stretch of a sprint, as they're calling it, where you have position players coming into games that have been wipeouts. The Yankee game Tuesday night in the Bronx against the Toronto Blue Jays, and we saw that happen again. We saw a shortstop come into a game and throw a record 45-mile curveball that Luke Voigt, DJ LeMahieu deposited into the left field stands for a home run. That's insane. That's stupid. That's ridiculous. I don't want to see that. That's not baseball. That's Sandlot. That's Bush League. So you have to get rid of so many things that Major League Baseball has incorporated this bowl season going into next, hopefully with normalcy, to a regular 162-game season where everybody could play the game the right way. And you, the fans, back in the ballpark. I'm tired of cardboard cutoffs, fake crowd noise that does help, and cardboard cutoffs are not fans. So let's face it. The season has been bogus. Yet again, I do credit Major League Baseball for going on with the season as it resumed, as they proceed, and as they will do with an expanded playoff system. 8 teams from each league, as you know. This has been a year, unusually weird year, as we know, like none other. Hopefully never see it again. And the schedule for the 2020 postseason, a couple of weeks away. The first neutral site World Series in baseball modern history. And that World Series will be played at the Texas Rangers ballpark and, of course, neutral sites. The Division Series, League Championship Series, World Series played at neutral sites. The schedule will be shared in terms, as they say, of off days, meaning teams will have plenty of decisions to make when it comes to pitching, and that's your key. The reason why you're seeing games like you did with the Yankees on Tuesday night, 20-6, the Brewers 17-1, and the Braves scoring 29 runs last week in their game. The reason you're seeing that is because the players are not physically there. The pitching more so. I've never seen anything like this. You probably never will see it again. But it is in baseball. Back to the format, best of 3 wild card series. best of 5 division series, and the best of 7 league championship series. No days off in between games. That may have an impact in the postseason. Teams are going to have to decide to use whether they want to use traditional 5-man rotations or use 4 starting pitchers, and many of them pitching on short rest. That's not going to work. But each series, as they say, will be preceded by at least an off day, or possibly more, depending on how a series or when it's completed. October 20 is the goal to start the World Series at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. And a Game 7, if it does happen, ends the season on Wednesday, October 28th. Fox, of course, will broadcast it on prime time. You won't see any day games. But we haven't seen a day game in a World Series maybe since I was born. I don't know. Anyway, it's baseball. MLB should be commended again for proceeding with the disruptions in hand. A relatively minor number of cases of COVID, and then dealing with that effectively and properly. And I tell you the truth, my friends, I did not think the season would be continuing right now. I thought there would be further disruption. They'd have to put a halt to it, and that the postseason wouldn't happen, but it looks like it will. And barring any further complications, the Major League Baseball postseason will go on, and there'll be conflicts with other sports because it's all happening, as I said, all at the same time. Unprecedented in my lifetime, probably yours. But if you're a sports fan, you're loving it. The other factor here with MLB and the postseason is starting next week, from what I understand, and it's been reported, I think, as well, teams that are potential postseason teams, and it looks like that's pretty well been set, and 5 teams in the National League are only playing over 500 ball. The American League looks like it's more set than the National League. But those teams that are qualifying or look like they will for the postseason will be put in immediate isolation, I think starting next week, meaning that teams will have players staying in hotels in their respective cities, isolated from everyone and even their families. And they will be escorted from the ballpark, from the hotel to the ballpark, back to the hotel. They won't be able to go out. They won't be able to be with their families. And I personally wouldn't want to do that, but the players agreed to it, and that's what's going to occur. Again, unprecedented, and hopefully will not happen ever again. Regardless of what's going on, and you're a Major League Baseball fan, you love it. No matter what's been going on through this 60-game sprint of a season. Regardless of what your team has done, and you love baseball, you love it. You were able to see baseball. You were able to see the game you love, which I love. Though I opted out not to go to the ballparks and cover the games because I felt it was not the way to cover a ball game. You know, we as the media are restricted. Only 35 members of the media are allowed up in the press box, and there is no access to the field, the clubhouse, and that's it. And we've been limited, as you know. You've been reading my columns on various websites. We're restricted. And to get access to players, unless you have personal numbers or contact with them, it's all done through via the Zoom conference call. And that's difficult because as you're reporting baseball, you need that interaction and you need those one-on-ones. You need to be in the scrum with others down in the clubhouse. You need to get information you're not able to get pre-game or post-game by doing a Zoom conference call. But this is what Major League Baseball has succeeded in doing, as well as the other sports. And look, if it works, it works. But as a journalist, long time as I am, as this veteran old school guy, it doesn't work. And for the most part, it's been effective, but the way you do the job is much different. And we'll lead to that discussion on another podcast down the line, because I think it is an interesting topic to discuss with myself and some of the colleagues I work with in this industry. Of almost 40 years I've been in it, and I've never seen anything like this before. And I'll talk to young people, too, and tell them right here on Sports with Rich. It's how you want to break into this business, why you should, why you shouldn't. Because it's no longer a type of business where you can gain full-time employment. You need to develop a blog, a website, and freelance. That's what I do. Old school as I am, I'm a freelancer. But because of the experience, I'm able to do it. But we'll talk about it another time. Let me briefly run down some of the other events. Look, we're coming down to the Final Four in the NBA. I'm disappointed that the Lakers, or rather the Clippers, won't be able to play the Lakers. I wanted to see that. And I like the Lakers to take it all anyway with LeBron James. In the bubble, it's worked. It's worked for the NBA. And in the National Hockey League, it's worked in the bubble. Edmonton, up in Canada. I mean, it's one of the sites up there in Canada. It's worked, and what about the Islanders of New York? I just watched Tuesday night a double overtime. The Islanders kept the season going. Stanley Cup hockey playoffs gets my adrenaline goes. I mean, you gotta love it. Major League Soccer, another bubble situation. Again, another sport where we're restricted, which I cover, and the same thing, in a bubble, and it's working. And their season's progressing now in late September as we'll get there, and they'll go into October, and they'll continue and determine who will be the will get the MLS Cup. So good for them. The NFL. All the protocols in place, just like Major League Baseball, and the first week was a success. The ratings weren't as big as they have been. However, the NFL looks like they're going to have a successful season pending COVID, and there are no disruptions, and lead to a Super Bowl in mid-February. And if you're an NFL fan, you'll have plenty of that. As college football has been restricted to so many teams because a lot of colleges decided to withdraw, and we'll look to see what they're going to do maybe in the spring or next fall. But the NFL, if you love the NFL, this is your time of year along with everything else. And my passion, boxing. During this global pandemic, pro boxing continued. Pro boxing stopped, and then Top Rank came up with the bubble in the MGM Grand Conference Room in Las Vegas. Proper medical protocols, safety. It's worked. The only thing that boxing fans have been deprived of have been major fights for the championship fights. That's coming, though. Top Rank will have Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez. That's coming up in November, I believe it's October, the October date. And that's going to be a barn burner of a fight. Again, closed venues, no fans. So revenue is not coming to the promoters or as much for the fighters because of this. And you'll end up seeing another Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder heavyweight title fight. Not this year, sometime next. They want to wait this out and see if they can get fans to maybe even do that in the UK and break all types of records for attendance for the trilogy between those two. So boxing with Top Rank started at Showtime and the PBC and Fox active with fights. You can catch boxing almost every weekend now, either on Showtime, Fox, or with Top Rank on ESPN, their streaming service, or on the channel. And that's good to see. And, we just saw the U.S. Open Tennis Men's Championship go to a climax on Sunday. They managed to get that. And they're doing things differently because Wimbledon will happen after that. Usually it's before the U.S. Open. Everything has been changed. You know that. But for a sports fan, that's my theme here. You're getting everything. You could love every sport or just a few, but they're all there at the same time. The disadvantage, though, is that you just don't know what to watch or when to watch it or where to catch it because it's all happening at the same time. Unprecedented. And also what happens there is the networks look for ratings, and they're not going to get them because people are channel surfing is like I do. I've got picture in a picture and the radio on, the TV's on, and this and that. I'm watching everything, listening to everything. Because if you're a sports fan, you want that. You love it. That's your life. Let's face it, it's my life. And you got to be happy about that. So, the other sport, golf and horse racing. We've had 2 legs of the Triple Crown. Now we got one more to go. The Preakness. That's going to happen in a couple of weeks. It's all backwards. Usually it's Kentucky Derby, as you know, the Preakness, and then the Belmont Stakes. We're not going to have a Triple Crown winner, but still, you're going to have the Preakness. And then golf and Tiger Woods this week in New York. Wingfoot Golf Course up in the area here in Mamaroneck, New York. PGA Tour. Tiger Woods, 15 major championships. Looking to get this one up in Wingfoot. And a course he says is the toughest one to play. So we wish Tiger Woods luck. It might be the last time, though, if you're a golf fan, an enthusiastic golf fan in New York, in the area, last time you might see him, because I don't think you're going to have the U.S. Open up there anytime soon for another 10 years, as I've been understanding. And Tiger Woods is on his last legs of a career, and a great one it's been, Hall of Famer. So, what am I saying? In the weeks to come, the days and weeks to come, we're culminating the Major League Baseball season, 60-game season, and heading to a postseason. The NFL goes into their second week and third week and so forth. The NHL winds down, and we're finally going to get the 2 teams that will go at it for the Stanley Cup. The NBA coming down to the Final Four for their championship, again in a bubble with just like the NHL. Pro boxing continues. You have your golf tournaments continuing. There's still some tennis to go, more horse racing, a little of everything. And my friends, if you're a sports fan, you got to love it. Sit down and think about that. Yes, sports is always a diversion for what we go through in our society every day. And let's face it, we know how bad it's been. A global pandemic, racial injustice, hurricanes, a record number of them around the country, around the world, around the regions where hurricanes are hit. And friends of mine in the southwest area of this country facing another major one this week, and many more are out there in the Atlantic, the tropics as they call it. We've had everything. We have everything, and we're approaching a presidential election in November that's going to be very controversial, as you know. And that's going to take a little steam away for some of the sports, but we still got sports. We still have it to divert ourselves from the things that are gone wrong in this country and around the world. There's been criticism about some of the things that go on, and why should sports continue with a pandemic and everything else? And I've been one of them who's been criticizing that part of the whole thing here. I just feel we have other things to pay attention to, and sports should be on the back burner. But yes, when it comes down to it, sports is our diversion. It makes us happy. It keeps us going. It gives us some encouragement, some motivation. Sports, for a sports fan, with all of this going on, keeps us together. And whether you like or dislike what's going on with some of the professional athletes and how some of the leagues are handling racial injustice and their message that politics doesn't belong in sports, well, I'm one that feels that do what you got to do as long as you do it peacefully. I sometimes say that it doesn't belong in the sports environment. But then again, if you're going to play the national anthem before every game, then why can't you give your opinion about how you feel about the things going on in this country? Because sports and the athletes who I say play the fun and games, they can send a powerful message to all of us. So I want to tell you again, fans, I'm going to be speaking to you at least once a week, maybe twice, depending on how time allots and how this podcast goes, with Sports with Rich and the Keeping in the Ring segment. And looking forward again to being a part of the NAWA with Tony Capone and the relaunch and to make sure that you stay in touch through social media. Again, I'm at Twitter at Ring786, as well as Facebook, Rich Mancuso. And you can always check this YouTube channel out with Rich Mancuso and make sure you like, subscribe, and offer your comments. And I look forward to talking to you, hopefully live in a forum on the YouTube channel, and plan some great and interesting segments and go into it. It's called Sports with Rich, after all, isn't it? And even you want to throw a little politics in there, I don't mind that. I'm versed in that. Or anything else you want to talk about. When we go live and we have that opportunity to have the forum to talk to you live, of course you can do that, but you can always leave your comments again. Like, subscribe, comment on the YouTube channel of Rich Mancuso, yours truly here talking to you with Sports with Rich. So I want to wish you all a safe and happy journey wherever you are tonight, tomorrow, the week ahead. I hope everyone is well and safe. That's the most important thing. And cherish your family. Always. Family comes first. Remember that. Sports is a part of our life. Remember that. Till now, I'm Rich Mancuso, everyone. Remember, Sports with Rich. Like, subscribe, comment, and as always, keep it in the ring.